All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Eka Kodesh, the blindness to Dealers and Apostles of Great Stone. Shalom to the elect pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. For the hope of receiving mercy of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai is the name of his only begotten Son. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites according to the prophecies that are written in the scriptures. I want to make it known that the RFID microchip is the MOTB. The miracle drug is the precursor to the MOTB. Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus, is about to make his return upon the earth to deliver his elect and to pour out judgment as it is written. So right now we're in the signs of the coming of the Lord. And a lot of people, they are not aware of these signs taking place. To them it's just another day, people in an uproar because of certain things, not knowing that these were all signs that were foretold to take place before the coming of our Lord Yahushua, that great and terrible day. This is 2 Ezra 9 verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, and just take a look on earthquakes, and you see how much earthquake are shaped in a various location that go back to diverse places. An uproars of the people in the world. And this is what we are going to zoom in on, the uproar of the people in the world. Because there are various things that have people in an uproar. Like in France, in Germany, in Iraq, in Israel, in South America. You have enough countries coming up against their leaders because of certain measures being implemented on the populace, and that's something that is taking place all around the world, and it's gonna get even more heightened as we approach to the great and terrible day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Verse 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So the Lord had always declared of the things that shall come to pass before his coming. Did not Matthew declare these things? Did not Joel declare these things? Did not Luke declare these things? But nobody tend to regard the words that are being uttered by the prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because them not understand the power and the name what the prophets represent. So let's take a quick look at what's going on in the world.
News out of Iraq, where the Iraqi government has expelled the Swedish ambassador from Baghdad. This comes in response to the burning of the Quran during two scheduled events in Stockholm, Sweden. Protesters swarmed the Swedish embassy in Iraq overnight. We understand that they waited to make sure there were no people inside the building before they did so. They set it on fire. The Swedish government announced it was going to allow people to get together and set fire to the Quran in Stockholm, Sweden. And it sounds like it was even promoted inside the police in Stockholm. Joining us to understand this more deeply is Marwa Osman, an assistant professor of media studies at Lebanese University in Beirut. Marwa.
Guarantees the right to peacefully demonstrate, but the police have asserted that any demonstration needs advance notification in the interest of national security. So what really is happening in Kenya at this moment? Our next report gets you the details.
6 people were killed in violent clashes between demonstrators and Kenyan police on Wednesday. 5 of these deaths were reported in the towns of Molongo and Kitengela on the outskirts of capital Nairobi. Tear gas and live ammunition were used by the police to disperse protesters attacking a highway connecting Nairobi to the port city of Mombasa.
Remember in the scripture tell us, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. And one of the reasons why they are rioting and protesting out there in Kenya now is because of these new taxes. So right now, the cost of living is more, straining on the pocket. So what people are doing, they are rebel against these new taxes.
1 death was recorded in Mali, a town located along that route. Some demonstrators ended up in local hospitals with grievous injuries, including gunshot wounds. The excessive use of force by police in dealing with these banned opposition protests against tax hikes hasn't gone down well with angry protesters.
The police are using excessive force on the citizens and many have been injured. And even my brother is being treated for the gun wounds. He has been shot in his legs and it has hurt us. We are not happy at all for the use of force by the police, and I am appealing to look into the ongoing issues because we are the citizens. You stole the elections. We are not happy and we are hurting. We are suffering. We are not fighting for ODM, but are hurting from our houses. We do not have flour. We do not have money. You have eaten all the money and we are suffering.
The French riots have taught us one thing.
Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? We are suffering. And what you think people are going to do when they suffer? You think they're going to listen to the laws and the measures where the state and implement? They're going to do what them heart desire. They're going to go for what them need for go for feed their family. And these are the times that's coming to a city near you, no matter where you are upon the earth. Civil unrest is coming. Social disorder is coming. Lawlessness is at hand.
Our world is descending into a state of uncertainty that we have not seen in over 80 years. Our world has shifted from a unipolar one where the United States is the supreme leader to a multipolar world where other systems and countries are now claiming their place in the global economy. The riots in France represent a plethora of issues for the French government, but on the macro level, they also represent another low point for the U.S. world-led order. Countries around the world, most notably in the global south, are quickly losing confidence in Western governments. You might think I'm exaggerating, but let me share with you the confessions of one of America's most important foreign policy experts who just dropped a bombshell to the American public that will absolutely shock you. This is Richard Haass. He has served as the president of the Council on Foreign Relations for over 20 years. Why is this important? The Council of Foreign Relations has been the leading think tank shaping the foreign policy decisions of the United States government for the last 100 years. Earlier last week, Mr. Haass was interviewed by the New York Times and confessed the United States has become the most profound source of instability throughout the world. Throughout his entire career, Mr. Haass has been asked a simple question. What is the biggest threat to future world security? Is it countries like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea? Well, according to Mr. Haass, it's not. What about bigger problems? Issues like climate change or a global pandemic? Once again, it's not. Mr. Haass is now preparing to retire from the American think tank and now reveals the truth. The biggest threat to the future of the world's security is the United States itself. Instead of being the most reliable anchor in a volatile world, the United States has become the most profound source of instability and an uncertain exemplar of democracy. Mr. Haas continues, our domestic political situation is not only one that others don't want to emulate, but I also think that it's introduced a degree of unpredictability and a lack of reliability that's really poisonous. For America's ability to function successfully in the world, it makes it very hard for our friends to depend on us. Over the past few months, I've spent a tremendous amount of time asking one simple question. Why are countries throughout the global south choosing China over the United States? The results of my research are 3 YouTube videos I've made breaking down exactly why South America, Africa, and the Middle East have all chosen China. Each of these videos have received over 1 million views on YouTube and are loaded with comments from locals living in these regions and confirming exactly what is going on.
And these are the times that we're in, yo. And as I said, things will get worse and worse as the time progresses. Whether you believe it, yes or no.
21,000 protesters. Last week it was the Netherlands. The Netherlands collapsed 10 days ago. The Dutch Prime Minister pulled out of government. And then let's not forget, Kenya also collapsed. And France, they had all those protests, 45,000 officers on the ground, $1.5 billion in property damage. That was absolutely crazy. That spread to Switzerland and other areas. I mean, last year as well. Remember, Sri Lanka collapsed not even a year ago, 11 months ago. We have all of these situations unfolding, but we have to ask ourselves, where are we headed? Well, in this video, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you exactly where we're headed, because there's 12...
Beautiful question. You know, before you answer them and tell them where we're heading, let the scriptures dictate where we're heading. This is 2 Ezra 15 verse 1. It's a bit, oh, speak though in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord. So the Lord give us various words to go and declare, as it is written in Ezekiel chapter 3. So we're supposed to eat the roll and go and speak unto the house of Israel. This is 2 Ezra 15 verse 14. So woe to the world and them that dwell therein. So some would say what the woe they stand for, you know, and the woe stand for destruction. And someone might ask, why you say that? The Lord had declared it. When you read verse 5, it says, behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So that is what that woe represents, the destruction to come. So verse 15 read, for the sword and their destruction draw it nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition amongst men, and invaded one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able to, because what? Martial law is going to be declared, a state of emergency is going to be declared, you know. You're not going to be able to freely move about as you will. Those days are going to be out the window. It's not going to be safe outside. Not even your neighbor you cannot trust in a time such as that, where food is scarce. Verse 18, for because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And these are the things that we are telling you, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, about preparing you through the Spirit to understand the times that you're heading in. Because we're heading into some dangerous times, as is written in 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. Some savage and fierce times, yo. Timothy used the word perilous. And without the faith in Yahweh Hashem Yashai, you're going to crumble in such a time. You're going to be hopeless in such a time, knowing not what to believe, following every wind of doctrine, being led to the slaughterhouse, yo. But through the mercy and grace of Yahweh Shai, you have risen up men in these last days to declare his words and to make his words be known unto us. So jumping back to the clip.
12 other countries that are on the verge of heading here. And I personally believe that we're going to get it the worst. The West, America. America's in big, big trouble. Very big trouble. I'm going to break it down for you. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube will share this content to educate more people about what's really going on. And if you want to fix your credit...
And as him say, America is going to get it the worst. And the scripture declare what the Lord had do in Egypt. The Lord said put a perverse spirit in Egypt, in the midst of Egypt thereof. Because even right now, tension a brew between Jamaica and the United States because them a push them folly agenda down here. You know? But these are the times that we're in now. The time of utter confusion and chaos. And through all this darkness, the Lord has sent his light to guide us in these times. To understand what to stay away from, such as the RFID microchip, which is the MOTB, the world and this philosophy. And our faith is towards Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, which with the understanding thereof is gonna make us to be stable in a chaotic world. So I hope this is edifying. I don't want to say Kalalal, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kodash, Shalom.
We'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's Great Credit